Told her, Abba, for all that you do in my life and my family, for you the only one that keeps us, Abba Yahuah, through everything that we go through, the ups and downs. Hallelujah, Yahuah. We love you. Rock your name. Thank you, Abba. Yeah. Told her, Abba Yahuah, for your light. Gave me your compassion, even in spite. All the crime I committed before your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Imitate with Yahuah is a no-no. I used to burn rubber on that wide road. Thankful you released me from them strongholds. 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 Told the Abba, can I wait to embrace you? Reminiscence patiently waiting, looking for breakthrough. Stay cool. Fools burn bridges, enemy let loose. Remember ancient path, young lady, don't let them change you. Stay tuned, Yahuah's return, enemy consumed. For those who ain't been on your paw, don't seem like great news. Pray you been walking uprightly, rightly dividing the words of Abba, only the truth. Word to my wifey, praying for her day and nightly. Divorce, that's unlikely. Protect her, stay away from the serpent like poison ivy. I'ma cover, yeah, precisely. We bow down to Almighty. Yahuah God is cool, she prays, and that excites me. She loved me long time, and plus she's tidy. Set a good example, she's modest, there's nothing like it. Ain't seen nothing more beautiful through my eyelids. I love her like I love my own body, shalom to my rib. Told her, Abba Yahuah, for your light. Gave me your compassion, even in spite. All the crime I committed before your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Imitate with Yahuah is a no-no. I used to burn rubber on that wide road. Thankful you released me from them strongholds. 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 Told the Abba, you the source of what we needed. Without you as an Abba, there's no proceeding. Just the thoughts of my actions before displeasing. You could have easily killed me and took my breathing. The compassion you showed me was so intriguing. We like babies of pacifiers and teething. Life's a puzzle, you help me collect the pieces. What you set your hands to is what you're reaping. And for this reason, we clinging through every season while swinging on demons. You in our corner, basically keeping me on my 2 feet and almost defeated, bobbing and weaving. I'm bad and bleeding, holding your hand, heaving and wheezing. Did our people forget it, broken and grieving? With our eye, but we focus more on mistreatment, misleading, deceiving people, appeasing, hate is increasing. Where is your allegiance? Only 2 places, she or Eden. Told her, Abba Yahuah, for your light. You gave me your compassion, even in spite. All the crime I committed before your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Imitate with Yahuah is a no-no. I used to burn that rubber on that wide road. I'm thankful you released me from the strongholds. 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 Told her, Abba Yahuah, for your light. You gave me your compassion, even in spite. All the crime I committed before your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Your sight. Imitate with Yahuah is a no-no. I used to burn that rubber on that wide road. I'm thankful you released me from the strongholds. 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 No longer suckers, no longer they jiving shuckers. Shalom to my brothers, making it different out of these ruckers. Where truth is discovered, all of these lies. So we discovered we also all really used to be labeled as being colored. And some of us recover, pray for orphans and mothers. I pray you have food when you open your covers. This light affliction haven't killed you, just made us utter. All praises to Yahuah because you know he loves us. All praises to Yahuah because you know he loves us. All praises to Yahuah because you know he loves us. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I made a promise, can't nobody take it. I chose to put you above all the nations. Out of your graves, I chose to awaken. We made a covenant, don't you forsake it. Come get protected while they going crazy. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. I woke you up in your land of captivity. I do not change, I want you to remember me. Laws and commandments, I gave you the remedy. Go read the testimonies for your memory. I sent them prophets, but you wasn't hearing me. I come to you if you really come near to me. I heard your cry, now it's time to take heed of me. I'm the one got you from all of your enemies. Who you know open the sea. Them waters are bitter, but I made it sweet. In case you ain't know how to swim, I'm your protector, so I made you walk on your feet. This a reminder you married to me. I just want you to be all I called you to be. They called you niggas, but I made you priests. I'm about to give you back everything. I'm sending plagues for you. I'm sending boys trying to dead for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. For you, you only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel. I'm the reason you in captivity. We made a covenant, you ain't remember me. You broke the covenant, I sent your enemy. Hit out my lane since you wasn't fearing me. I'm the reason they put you in chains. I'm the reason they switched up your name. I'm the reason why you in the hood. I'm the reason of all your pain. I'm sending flows fast, daily. Think I don't love you. Y'all my babies. Gave my son, must be crazy. Come out that system, come out of that lady. They got that military, it would not phase me. It would not move me, it would not graze me. Remember Egypt, I did all that for my people. You only ever know. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That I am in my home. Yeah, that's my home. You only ever know. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel.
Do y'all see that? And it's coming to a city near you. You hear me? It's coming to a city near you. Thank you for using by Amazon. For details about what personal information Amazon collects and how we use it to provide Amazon's Just Walk Out technology services to you, visit www.amazon.com/privacy. Interesting. Let's continue.
Suave. Evil eye towards your brother. Evil eye towards your brother. She on drugs, but that's his mom. She on drugs, but that's his mom. I look up in your city. I look up in your city. Them youngest told me being busy. Youngest run me to the end. Evil eye towards your brother. Evil eye towards your brother. She on drugs, but that's his mom. She on drugs, but that's his mom. Hey, I look up in your city. I look up in your city. Feel like the devil getting busy. Feel like the devil getting busy. Go check them verses. My people under them curses. All the main people going through that pain. Still hurting. Who the ones who had them chains around their neck for purchase? They even switch out names up, they switched it up for certain. Separate your families, they know that that's damaging. No father in this house, seeing the streets, he told in magazines. We was in that field picking cotton before they had machines. Now we in that field picking each other for that fucking. All they but we stay under. All of this will make you wonder. Why they on top, but we stay under? It'll make you wonder why. Evil eye towards your brother. She on drugs, but that's his mom. She on drugs, but his mom. I look up in your city. Y'all get told we being busy. Y'all get told we being busy. She keeping them from his kids. Deuteronomy. This new girl won't stop nagging. Deuteronomy. And brought another man's baggage. Deuteronomy. I swear this curse is everlasting. I pray I'm covered in armor like John Madden. And please fill me with the fruits you see I'm lacking. The heart damage, we still green bay packing. It started ends in the mind, but we still look for signs. She can't find a righteous man. Deuteronomy. The last one caught the ooh weed. Deuteronomy. And made his woman unclean. Deuteronomy. I swear this curse is everlasting. I pray she covered in armor like John Madden. And please fill her with the boy you see her patching. Heart damage, she still homeboy happy. All you see is getting tragic.
Hey man, let's go, Yahuah. Yeah, we out here for sure. Apply pressure. Let's go.
That technologic reality is that the civilizing problem of the human being, it erases the memory from the human being of being a human being. It's almost like a severing of our connection to any spiritual reality. And then once that has been imprinted into the consciousness of the human beings, see, then I think that's what makes these other things possible. It isn't that we're, as human beings, we're bad. It's got nothing to do with our badness. What it has to do is that there's a program going on that literally feeds off of the being part of human, eating our spirit. All right, and in order for all that to happen, then these imprinting things have to happen to our consciousness, and a part of that is to erase the memory of the human being about being a human being. See, so we no longer participate in reality, perceiving reality as human beings. We participate in reality as feeling as either like we're oppressed culturally, ethnically, gender-wise, class-wise, but we participate in reality from the eyes of being victimized and very fearful and insecure. We don't think like human beings, but that reason for that is because there's been a deliberate suppression of our memory of that identity.
Who is suppressing this, and where is that coming from? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, I don't have any names. Well, maybe a couple might jump to mind, but on this planet there's an industrial ruling class. And this industrial ruling class is the smallest percentage of human beings on this planet. And this industrial ruling class, the governments that are created to serve the needs of this industrial ruling class. And one of the needs of this industrial ruling class, they create these governments and to some degree these religions, all right, and these economic systems as a way of controlling the mass of human beings that they're feeding off, turning, but it's this industrial, what's the percentage of people that own 60% of the resources on this planet? Then we're starting to get to who they are. They do have names.
Well, let's go, Yahuah. Apply pressure.
Hey,
Let's
Jay.
apply pressure.
Hey, yo, Ren, turn that up. I mean, praise Yahuah every day. It's up right now.
I'll seek your ways, I change my ways, I'll seek your face until you come my way. I'm being patient, waiting for that day, I'm waiting for you to say, what's your will for me? Your will, only thing I wanna do, reveal what you got next door for. How small the sacrifice when you gave me my life, my life. Set me up, you never let me down, you never let me down, you turn my life around. passing. In all my ways, I want you to lead me. I can't do a thing without you, hey. I can't do a thing without you, no way, hey. I can never go without you, I will you my light. With you on my side, yeah, I can fight. Forsake my way because your way is right. Fighting for you, tell me how to move. We the juice and it's the truth, I praise you in the booth. The life is sin, I had to change my soul, don't wanna lose. Take me, I ain't paranoid. Made it from the dirt, so creator of the heavens. Worship you with reverence. You've been planting seeds and the fruit I start to see. Purify my heart, I've been wanting to be clean. I depend on you, so I'm praying on my knees. Know I said it once before, but you supply my needs. The world is getting crazy, crying out to heaven. Father, you can save me. They out here killing babies. Quick to pull the trigger instead of trying to talk it out. And trying to ask you what you bout. Walking with the Most High, that's who we be really bout. So brothers start to live right, cause the end is coming soon. Babylon is falling soon. Israelite, we are the Jews. In school they try to hide the truth, but we welcome to the truth. Yeah, all praise to the Most High. Open up my eyes and I can see. Worthy to be praised, worthy to be magnified, ancient of days. We've been longing for you. Yeah. I've been longing for you. Yeah. I've been longing for you. Oh. Yeah.
And the hottest joints
All
out here in
praise.
Zion right now, man.
All praise to the Most High.
Previously on What the Media Won't Tell You About King Charles III.
On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II's reign ended, and upon her last breath, her eldest son, King Charles III's reign began. On September 9th, 10 days of national mourning started for the Queen, and her funeral is projected to be the most watched event in human history. And hey, listen, respectfully, RIP and all that. I'm not British, I'm American, and I'm a realist. So I'm here to tell you everything about King Charles III that the media won't. Because I assure you, even if you're not under the shadow of the crown, his rule will still affect you. And after you hear what I'm about to say, I want you to tell me something. Should this guy have the ability to shape policies across the world? Should he even be taken seriously? Here's what the media won't tell you about King Charles III. So now we will bridge the gap between past and present, which I will adorn with this cute little picture of a Rothschild poking the chest of King Charles III like he owns him. And he probably does. We've all heard about the Great Reset by now. The World Economic Forum described the Great Reset as, quote, an economic recovery plan drawn up by the World Economic Forum in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, end quote. They've got those witchy one-liners like, you'll own nothing and be happy, the whole live in Ux mantra, but the media has gaslit everyone who questioned it, calling them conspiracy theorists. But did you know that it was actually Charles's Twitter account who marked the launch of the Great Reset? They even had a cute little graphic for his quote, as we move from the rescue to recovery from COVID-19, therefore, we have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. We must use all the leaders we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play. End quote. His Twitter account even tagged the World Economic Forum. Since 2020, Charles has regularly promoted the Great Reset and the World Economic Forum's globalist agenda. The Transnational Institute has referred to the WF's Great Reset as a silent global coup d'etat to capture world dominance. People like Charles promote these agendas through what they label as philanthropy and altruism. So just so we're clear, the Great Reset wasn't launched by Bill Gates or Klaus Schwab or Fauci or Stacey Abrams or whoever. It was launched by Charles, Prince of Wales at the time. Problem, reaction, solution, every single time. Problem, COVID pandemic and forced lockdown. Reaction, economic instability worldwide. Solution, the Great Reset. The Great Reset priorities include a fourth industrial revolution of automation, further merging technology and humanity. Track, trace, and resolve for products on the blockchain, track and trace being a phrase that became popularized through lockdowns and surveillance of individuals to, quote, stop the spread, furthering the Go Green initiatives, which sound fine on paper, but it takes a sinister tone in practice. The WEF's 8 predictions of the world in 2030, published before any of this COVID stuff happened, are as follows. And make no mistake, these are predictions, quote, air quote, because they intend to make them happen. Number 1, you'll own nothing and be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent, and it'll be delivered by drone. You don't even have to leave your house. Number 2, the U.S. won't be the leading superpower. A handful of countries will dominate. So they will push for the fall of America. Our country will suffer, which you're seeing happen as we speak. Number 3, you won't die waiting for an organ donor, because there won't be organ transplants, because they'll be printed. Subtext, what they're not saying is we'll probably have artificial wombs being commonplace by then too for our slave society, but if you want an organ, you better not be talking smack about the WF or have a good social credit score or whatever. Anyway, number 4, you'll eat much less meat because the WF says that meat farming isn't good for the environment and it's bad for our health. Number 5, 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change, so there's going to be a ton of refugees invading your country and your hometowns. By the way, just see how well that's going for Europe. Guarantee no refugees go to Israel. Number 6, polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide, eliminating fossil fuels. Number 7, you could be preparing to go to Mars, which is funny because we can't even go back to the moon if we even went in the first place. But don't worry, scientists will have worked out how to keep you healthy in space, even though all they do is poison us here on Earth through our food, water, and air. Then at the very end, the WF hints at aliens, some of us might pick this prison planet. Number 8, Western values will have been tested to a breaking point. Checks and balances that underpin our democracies must not be forgotten. It's giving diversity, it's giving clarity. Am I allowed to say that on here? I'm not sure, but anyway, that concludes our predictions. So Charles has signed on to all these predictions, and he's going to make sure they're fulfilled. This old cuss marked the launch of it. Like I said at the beginning, the Queen's funeral is projected to be the most televised and watched event in all of human history. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like an opportunity to me from all the people who gave Jimmy Savile keys to the psychiatric children's hospitals. So be careful what you watch, what you listen to, what you believe, what you see. And as far as King Charles number 3 is concerned, what the media won't tell you is that he's not a good guy. He's not someone you want influencing global policy. He's not someone you want to be paying taxes to. Heck, I'd lock up my children if he were around. The company he keeps is a direct reflection of his character. And his side piece is the Queen Consort. Gross. Someone better start dumping tea into a harbor or something. Brits, it's your turn. We've already got enough to deal with over here. We wish there was tea in our water. It's undrinkable in like a dozen states at the moment. The more you research, the more you learn about these creatures, the more you reject whatever they're pushing, consent you give them, the less power they have. And that's what the media won't tell you about King Charles III. What do you think, internet friends? You know, I always look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing.
Mixing all of my emotions. Why is telling me to focus? Temptation's telling me to tote this, but all the lies I hear is bogus. Where am I really supposed to be in tough times? Close to the Son of Man who forgave me. The Son of Man who forgave me. And it's still die. Never riding solo, it's just you and I. Trust in the spirit is a suicide, or the best thing ever, you should still decide. Yeah, yeah. Part of the plan was to be removed from the path of the darkness. I've been approved to be made in the likeness of the Son of God. Made in the likeness of the Son of God. New heavens will come down in all of His glory. Left the 99 and came just right back for me. For me. The Father has His hands stretched out right now. Ever and ever and ever. Lord God, can you look at my life right now? Ever and ever and ever. The Father has His hands stretched out right now. Lord, help me to. Help me to. The Father has His hands stretched out right now. Ever and ever and ever. Lord God, can you look at my life right now? Oh, the Father has His hands stretched out right now. Lord, help me to. Lord God, can you look at my life right now? Yeah. The Father has His hands stretched out right now. Lord, help me to. Help me to. Yeah. Lord God, can you look at my life right now? Oh, the Father has His hands stretched out right now. Lord, help me to.
Everybody got a pass, I give a little glance. You can make a contrast what I'm going through. Used to keep a little cat, pack it in my little bag, drinking on a little yak when I'm coming through. I was smoking on the gas, I would keep a little stash, plus I had a few stacks, I was feeling cute. I was revving on the gas, started moving kinda fast, wasn't looking at the dash, I was cruising through. Till it started getting bad, I was speeding off track, and the Father let me crash, had to see it through. Now I'm fleeing from my past, got me on a head wrap, plus I got a little class that I'm ripping through. Put my spirit on blast, I ain't finna wear a mask, I be posted in the back, washing residue. Your work ready for the truth, I'm all yours, I would tell me what I gotta do.
Put aside my pride,
Yeah.
I can't even lie. And I can't say that it was easy. The flesh works inside. I was tired of playing games, so when the truth it was revealed, I felt so deep inside, it caught my heart, it's so real. Sometimes I wanna cry, 'cause I was blind. Ooh, this is only the beginning. There's no other place I'd rather be. Ain't no turning back now. Tell me, can you feel me? I give you me. I'm letting I'm all yours, baby. I give you me. I'm letting go. I'm all yours, all yours. I trust you in everything. I'm all yours, all yours. No one must let me let go. I'm yours. Wonder what I trust in you and everything. I'm yours.
His mind without saying to Britain and everybody else who can. We do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen coat on her head. We have nothing to do with the queen. Renakas Bedi, but Baukwar Bulili, Slaga Bona, Marawa now. Lele kodu lele bolai le batho ba re minerale tsa mo Africa ba utswa di minerale tsa all over Africa. Today people think hey we want the queen, but when Helen Zille tweeted and said that not everything is bad about colonialism, you all said Helen Zille is a racist. How can she praise colonialism? By mourning and praising the queen, you are celebrating colonialism. You are not different from Helen Zille. We were not colonized by the land called Britain. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here. We are very clear. The queen does not represent anything else. Britain has got a lot of gold, yet they don't have a single mine of gold. Those are stolen goods. We must talk about reparation. We must talk about the return of the gold. We must talk about the return of the stolen diamond, and not these other side issues which are not important to us. How can you be oppressed for so many years? After liberation, you've got nothing to show that we have been liberated. You have no land, you have got no bank, you've got no mind. The only thing you have is a hatred of other Africans. It was this queen who gave us surnames, by the way. This Britain, we did not have surnames. We were calling each other with the surnames and the addresses. We did not have an address because they move on from year to year according to the season. So today we are given address, we are given borders, we are given surnames because we must be controlled by a certain nation which we must celebrate. We, as black people, everywhere else we are welcome. You said you don't want the people of Zambia, you don't want the people of Zimbabwe, you don't want the people of Swaziland. When we were putting the king of the Zulus, there were Zulus from Zambia, there were Zulus from Zimbabwe, there were Zulus from Malawi, but you are beating up the Malawian and saying, we don't want Malawi. You even speak in Zulu that you don't want Malawi. You don't know that person is a Zulu like you who left here during those years to go and settle that side. The coronation of the king should have actually educated all of us that indeed we are one thing. Because there is Mbofu in Zimbabwe, there is Mbofu in Eastern Cape, there is Mbofu in Parliament now, as we speak, representing public protector. So which Mbofu you don't want? perpetuate a narrative that the PAC is disorganized. You disappointed a lot of enemies of black people. When we meet as black people, we must discuss and resolve our problems ourselves without impressing the enemy. We want the PAC, we want Azapo, we want ATM to come together and make sure that we fight for a historical mission, which is the return of the land. I will never meet people and not talk about the land. Even the public protector must investigate the stealing of the land by these people who came here to steal our land. Fighters, thank you very much for your discipline. Thank you very much, PAC leaders, ATM, ACTP, Azapo, Forum for Service Delivery. Cook, please, we thank you for your discipline. Because every time we meet like this, they expect wrong things. You demonstrated discipline coming this way, and when you go back home, please continue to be disciplined. And if you arrive home late to transport issues, make sure you deliver females first at their homes before you go home, and make sure they are safe. The only way to make sure they are safe, you wait at the gate until the light goes on. Then it means she is inside. Then you can go home. We must love each other and protect each other and see each other as equals. Amanda! Amanda! Viva South Africa! Viva! Viva United Opposition! Viva! We're not influencing you. We're saying release, which means it's completed. We're not saying no, put this for that. Release the report. It doesn't matter whether it's incomplete or not. Release the report.
All right, so I hope that let me get back over here.
Let's go.
You know, that's powerful.
When I'm feeling blue, I've heard the truth and I believe, but Lord, right now have my unbelief. Lord, right now have my unbelief, so I can see clearly that even in my darkest days I'm never lonely. And when I can't go on no more, you carry me to safety. See, gray clouds can have rainbows and crushing tides can be stilled. But if I lost everything like Job, would I still know you're my Prince of Peace? Would a piece of me still be missing? If you're truly all I need, then when I'm feeling blue, I will rest in you. 'Cause only you can truly soothe my soul. With you I'm floating, but when I don't feel I'm sitting on cloud nine. Would I believe we're still very much alive? I guess when life gives me lemons, I should just squeeze them in my eyes. Maybe then I'll remember to walk by faith and not by sight. Even though a change of perspective is good, it can maybe draw a box around you. Won't limit how you move. Can never see things from your point of view anyway. You all have those rainy days, they leave a little sour taste. But when I hit rock bottom, there's Joe the rock at the bottom. Oh, when I'm feeling blue, 'cause only you can truly soothe. But I get caught up in this place of present misery and confusion. And I forget everything you have done and how you're moving in my situation. But I get caught up in this place of misery and confusion. And I forget everything you have done and how you're moving in my situation. When I'm feeling blue, yeah, I will rest in you, yeah. I will rest in you, 'cause only you, Lord, only you can truly soothe my soul, yeah. When I start to it's not what I say, it's what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Without faith it's impossible to please him, but faith without works is dead. So teach me to love like you do. Teach me I'll trust in you, to help me to see like you do. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. Ooh, show you through my actions. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions. I wanna be obedient, and I'm gonna be. You told me to be holy and to serve you only. Give me wisdom and keep me strong, yeah, yeah. Clear my vision and right my wrongs every day. And as you show me your way, I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. Ooh, show you through my actions. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions. I keep learning the same lessons while I'm steady missing out on these blessings. I need your eyes to see what you see in me, 'cause I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but you still love me. So show me how to love and teach me how to be selfless. But I know it starts with me, so I really gotta get this practice, yeah, yeah, yeah. So no more distraction, I gotta function. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions, how I love you. Ooh, show you through my actions. I'm gonna have to show you through my actions.
never got the same memo. We keep going in circles, but like I've seen it all, heard it all. Tell me, is it love? I can't shake it off. When I see your face, I just play it out like I ain't involved. I fought to keep that window open. We made our choices, now it's closed. How many times are we gon' risk it all? I don't wanna say I do and then I do. Just wanna be the only one. If we were able to someone else, why can't we move on? Move on. All these feelings we've been holding on to. Do you do when the feeling ain't new? Lord, know that he been working on me. I just pray that he been working on you. You. Know that I've been praying. You. Yeah. Hey, I put my heart in a lot. We don't gotta co-sign it every time I put that love in return. He said it's time to remind me. What if it's just a matter of time? And what if it's loving we were too blinded? You know I love you for more than your body. We done been through that fight to refine it. Tell me what you looking for. Tell me is he walking through that door? I know we've been through them all, but I don't wanna say. I don't wanna say I do and then I do. Just wanna be the only one. If we were able to someone else, why can't we move on? Move on. All these feelings we've been holding on to. Do you do when the feeling ain't new? Lord, know that he been working on me. I just pray that he been working on you. You. Know that I've been praying. You.
Home, and then you left your home, and then someone came and occupied it, and then you tried to get it back, and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that that's taking it to a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's a bit of a stretch for me. And even if it was true, I don't think it. I agree with him. It doesn't justify. I did not live there 3,000 years ago. My grandparents immigrated from Ukraine. Their parents, their grandparents didn't live there, and I don't know any Jew that can trace his or her ancestors back to the ancient Hebrews. So that's a lot of myth there.
But they claim they want to build the temple. Now, I want to discuss a little bit of sensitive history. And if I go to sensitive history, well, then I must quote sources that say it rather than that I say it. This is a fascinating book, and the web pages are there. You can check it out. Facts are facts. This is a book that was written by a Jewish man. And he confronted the thinking of many of the high-placed individuals of the world. This is interesting stuff. In this book, Benjamin H. Friedman, a Jewish man, writes about the Jews and reveals an interesting history. He states that the present Jews in Palestine are not the true descendants of the Judeans, but rather descendants of the Khazars. In the letter addressed to D. David Goldstein of Boston, Massachusetts, a convert to Catholicism, The author, Benjamin Friedman of New York City, dated October 1954, provides some fascinating insights. This is in the public domain. Let's study this for a while, see where we get. Benjamin H. Freeman claims that the word Jew was only introduced into the English language in the 18th century, and that Jesus referred to himself as a Judean and not as a Jew. Inscribed upon the cross when Jesus was crucified were the Latin words Iesus Nazarenus Rex Iodeorum, which means Jesus of Nazareth, ruler of the Judeans. Now this is fascinating. I went and checked it, and it is so. Yes, it happens to be so. Now the word Jew today has a religious as well as a political connotation. You think of a Jewish entity, a government, but you also think of their religion incorporated at the same time, whereas the term Judean is a geographic connotation. It's a geographic, it doesn't incorporate the religion. It's where he came from. He was from Judah. He was a Judean. He further writes, the form of religious worship known as Pharisaism in Judea in the time of Jesus was a religious practice based exclusively upon the Talmud. The Talmud in the time of Jesus was the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all rolled into one, of those who practiced Pharisaism. The Talmud today occupies the same relative position with respect to those who profess Judaism. So the rituals and rites that many of them observed were based on the Talmud and not on the Torah. Rabbi Morris, this is all from the source. Rabbi Morris in Kurtzer wrote a most revealing and comprehensive article with the title, What is a Jew?, which was published as a feature article in Look magazine in June 17, 1952 issue. In that article, Rabbi Morris Kurtzer evaluated the significance of the Talmud to Judaism today. In that illuminating treatise and that important subject, by the most qualified authority at the time, Rabbi Morris N. Kurtzer stated, the Talmud consists of 63 books of legal, ethical, and historical writings of the ancient rabbis. It was edited 5 centuries after the birth of Jesus. It is a compendium of law and lore. It is the legal code which forms the basis of the Jewish religious law, and it is, note, the textbook used in the training of rabbis. So rabbis are trained according to the Talmud, and the Talmud has very little in common with the Bible. As to the origin of the present Jews in Palestine, he states that those Jews derived from Eastern Europe, and many of the Jews that today live in the reconstituted state of Israel come from Eastern Europe, are not descendants of the Judeans or the lost tribes of Israel, but rather descendants of the Khazars. Who were they? They were a nation most people do not even know of. He writes, the so-called self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe in modern history cannot legitimately point to a single ancient ancestor who ever set even a foot on the soil of Palestine in the era of Bible history. Research also revealed that the so-called or self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe were never Semites, are not Semites now, nor can they ever be regarded as Semites at any future time by any stretch of the imagination. What secret, mysterious power has been able for countless generations to keep the origin and the history of the Khazars and the Khazar kingdom out of the history textbooks? Did you ever learn about it at school? I never learned about it. And out of classroom courses in history throughout the world, The origin and the history of Khazars and the Khazar kingdom are certainly incontestable historical facts. You have to do some cross-checking. Even the Jewish Encyclopedia is quite explicit about it. This was the Khazar kingdom. Here is the Black Sea, the Byzantine Empire. Here was Persia. And here was the kingdom of the Khazars. It was a massive kingdom. Now let's look at some of this interesting history. The Khazars were an Asiatic nation. And the Jewish Encyclopedia states Persian origin that converted to Talmudic Judaism, and that had conquered a vast area of Eastern Europe, which was in turn later conquered by the Russians in the 10th and 13th century. So that is why there are so many Russian Jews. Have you ever thought where they came from? Did they escape from Palestine? Were they the lost 10 tribes? Did they emigrate to Russia? No. This is a totally different nation that accepted Talmudic Judaism. He writes, after a historic session with representatives of the three monotheistic religions, King Bulan, 7th century, decided against Christian and Islam, because Islam had just arisen, and selected as the future state religion the religious worship then known as Talmudism, and not known and practiced as Judaism, which was totally different, which was based on the Bible. They adopted the Hebrew alphabet, and the Khazars adapted words to their requirements from the German, the Slavonic, and the Baltic languages. This language was known as Yiddish. And Yiddish used the Hebrew alphabetic characters, but not Hebrew. It's not Hebrew. It's Yiddish. I've always wondered, when I hear them speaking Yiddish, I understand quite a few words. Why? Because I'm German. They had many exchanges with universities and their students were trained. So here is another nation which had occupied this area, and they had adopted this religion and brought rabbis in and trained the people, but they were not Judean.
What civilization or system has ever got conquered or destroyed without like violence or bloodshed?
That's fact, and that's what's going to take.
And I think that like we can sit here, we can talk. Like I'm not saying let's start a war, you feel me? But I'm just saying like we can talk about all of the solutions that we can put in place, right? Saying like a government, right? Which would create then an army, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not saying that's what we need to do. But I'm just saying, like, if you really look at every system that was broken, it was broken through bloodshed. And I think that that's something that it could be touchy. But at the end of the day, like, if you look at the history, like, that's literally how civilizations rise and how civilizations fall.
But as Black people, that's what it really comes down to, even to solutions. Are we willing to come to that fact that this is a war that this conflict you're talking about already started, whether you want to be touching about it or not? You know what I mean, our people already died for this already. I mean, so it already started. So it's really on us. Are we really? You know what I mean? Are we willing and ready to need be? You know what I mean? When that time comes, because like you said, the only way for the system to change is to break it. And if we're gonna break it like that, are we as people willing to take it there? And that's where it really gets critical and crucial.
And I like to add also, Trav, I don't think we can actually like go head to head with them when it comes to like gun war. Like I don't think we're ready for that when it comes with them. Like they have bugs that are literally pull up and just blow up a whole city. It's like I don't think that should be like a solution to trying to like go to war with them. We can protect ourselves and defend ourselves, but I don't know.
I'm not saying that that's the solution. Right? I'm just saying, like, if we just look at history, right, and we talk about the systems that have been in place that have held power for many of years, the only way that they have been broken was through bloodshed or through like religion or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? But through religion, they still did the bloodshed. Like, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think that's a topic that we could talk about on like the next panel. But like, that's what it's gonna come down to if you're talking about creating a system outside of a system that was created to literally make you not even know who you are.
This is a massive Bible, and yes, it's as heavy as it looks. It's a first edition King James Bible that was printed in 1611, so this is over 4 centuries old. And I'm going to open it up to the New Testament title page. Bibles typically have at least a general title page at the beginning and a New Testament title page. That's a little trick for you. If you find a Bible that doesn't have a title page, look for the New Testament and you may be able to find out the date. So there's the New Testament title page. It's dated 1611. And on the other side we have the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha was included in the first edition King James Bible and was taken out in the 1880s. The printing of this Bible is magnificent, the work that was done over 4 centuries ago. Now, some of you are wondering why I'm not using white gloves. That's because that's no longer the practice in the international community, in museums or antiquarian bookshops. It's just greatly outdated information that's being passed around where people think you need white gloves. Actually, more damage ends up being done. If I were trying to pick this book up with white gloves, it would slip. Little flecks from the pages would flake off with the cotton fibers from the white gloves. So that's why I'm not using white gloves. But as you can see, this Bible is in really nice condition. And even though it's 400 years old, it should last another 4 centuries.
Vertical. Your vertebrae is not horizontal, it's vertical. So everything that you were born with shows you naturally that you're not a carnivore. You're not made to eat meat. But let's go further. Y'all. Since y'all want to bullshit and y'all don't want to take accountability and just admit that you addicted to these damn drugs and these damn foods and you into bestiality and you want to make love to your food because that's all it is. It's a dopamine, neuroepinephrine addiction that's killing you. Then we're going to take y'all from nature. So, you already are not naturally equipped to even eat meat. Everything about your physiological aspect screams frugivore. But let's go through nature and let's see what meat eaters eat. 1. Point in case proven. All meat eaters in nature, carnivores, only eat meat. 1. There's just 1. All meat eaters and carnivores only eat meat. 2. You can see any feline or any predator that only eat meat and they will die before they eat a vegetable. They will die before they eat anything but meat. Show me one lion that haven't been domesticated that ever ate anything other than flesh. You will not find one because that is not in his chemical biology. That is not in his chemical makeup. That is not in his genome or genetic structure. So the only thing it eats is meat. 2. You gotta catch your meat. We are not catching meat. We are hunting meat. We are cheating the system. Niggas using guns and all types of ballistics and putting on camouflage to blend in with trees and to blend in with barks and laying up under hemps with all types of camouflage coats on, sitting for hours to catch their prey. Either using a knife, using a bow and arrow, or using a gun. There is nothing a part of your physiological aspect that shows me that you are a gun. There's nothing a part of your genetic makeup that show me knives and show me talons, to show me claws, to show me canines, to show me anything for you to be killing an animal and eating this innocent animal. Alright, point, case proven. Let's move on to 2. I have never seen a natural meat eater, because you are an unnatural meat eater. Everything you do to eat meat is unnatural as hell. They kill it, they process it, they shave it. Then after that, you have to marinate it to break it down more. Then you put all types of herb salts on it that you call seasonings, because you're naturally a frugivore and herbivore. So you want to do everything to make this shit taste like what you naturally designed to eat, because you know if you eat it raw like it's supposed to be eaten, you wouldn't even like it. You wouldn't even like it. So stop playing with yourself. It's time for us to quit bullshit, man. You would put all these herbs on it, then you would deep fry it, put it in grease, you would bake it, you would do all these things that natural carnivores and meat eaters don't do. I have yet to see a lion, I have yet to see a hyena, I have yet to see a cheetah inside of the jungle in nature take their meat, kill the meat, strip the meat, drain the meat of all of it, and then pan-sear it, put herbs on it, dress it up, and put it on a plate. I've never in my life seen that in nature. Guess what? We see denaturized people do that. We see domesticated Negroes and humanity do that. We see people that do that because it is unnatural. Your physiological aspects is not made for you to eat these gnarly proteins that's going to break down your body and kill your cells. That's the reason why you have to take it through its process before you eat it. You are naturally processing the meat before you put it in your digestive system, because your subconscious mind is screaming, I can't digest this shit. Alright? Point in case proven. That's my third point. Now, let's get into my fourth and final point. Once you consume these meats, after you process these meats, once you consume these meats, after you buy the utensils, because you were not naturally born with anything to eat and kill these meats, I have yet to see anybody go into the forest with its natural body, natural hands, and natural strength and take down a 2-ton mammal, take down a 2-3-ton cow for your steak and beef, and bite it off with your teeth, using your fingernails to rip the flesh from their beast. Man, that beast will kill your ass. I've never seen you do that to a bison. I've never seen you do that to a Brahmin. I've never seen you do that to anything you eat. Run up to it, use your natural given strength that was given to you by God, coming from your mother's wombs, using the natural utensils and ligaments and fingernails and canine teeth. I've never seen you use anything natural that you came from the womb with to kill any of these animals. But I have never seen any animal that eat meat use anything outside of itself to kill and eat. They use things that they was born from the womb with, which is their talents, which is their claws, which is their teeth, which is their speed, which is the way they spinal cord are horizontal. The reason why they sit so low to the ground, for they can get up to 60 and 70 miles an hour to chase down their prey. In the crushing force, the pounds per square inches that they use to bite into their food is enough to pop a fucking tire. Your jawbones ain't strong like that. Your jaws ain't made for that. Guess what your jaws is made for? Fruit. Simple vegetables. Guess what your nails was made for? Peeling. Peeling fruits. Guess what you walk upright for? To go in front of a tree and to lift your hands up and to pull fruits from the tree. Only time you're bending over is to defecate. Only time you bending over is to shit and poop. That's it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let's make it make sense. All you got to do is take a walk through nature. Now we're going to walk through nature's biology lab. Let's walk through anatomy class. Let's walk through autonomy class. Let's start talking about the digestive system and how your foods break down foods. Now, when you get into the physical aspect of any type of carnivore or meat eater, notice that their intestinal tracts are no longer than 10 to 12 feet. Your intestinal tract altogether is 33 feet, sometimes 36 feet, showing you that these meats are very, very hard to break down because it goes through a state of putrefaction, meaning these things rot inside of the intestines. So your intestines can't be long, because if you leave these foods rotting inside the intestines for so long, you get constipated, you start stagnating the lymphatic system, these things start breaking down to gnarly proteins and acids that's nitrous base. Then these things starts bringing on a mucosa response. Now you got colon cancer, you got Crohn's disease, you got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, you got all types of things. The penis and dick can't get hard no more because you're cutting off circulations, because mucus gotta come expectorate and use calcium monotriphosphate to be a buffering system for all the acids that you are bringing into your body. Not only that, it's defecation. It stinks to high heaven. And when you go defecate and take a poop, you funkerize your whole house. You clear the whole house because you are eating dead things. Uh-oh. Not only that, again, look, when you start getting into the anatomy of these certain type of beasts that are made to eat meat, their intestinal tract is between 6 feet and 12 feet long. Yours is 33 feet. There's even an anatomical structure that we call the digestive tract. It's 2 of them. You have one that's called fermentation. This is where the food breaks down to its minerals. This is where the food fermentates and break down to the natural sugars for you to yield ATP. The other one is called putrefaction. This is where things rot inside the intestines. Now, you tell me, black man and black woman, are you supposed to be going through putrefaction where things rot and die inside of your intestines, or are you supposed to go through irrigation or what you call fermentation, where things are supposed to slowly break down and yield energy and yield biosalts and yield monophosphates, triphosphates, and yield all these different minerals and sugar metabolitic constituents and carbon constituents that you need to rebuild the physiological structure? You tell me, which one you supposed to be going through? Putrefaction, the rotting defecation of dead animal corpse, because you using your damn body as a funeral home, and you're using your intestinal tract, literally this 9-inch tract that I'm going to call the duodenum. You see that? You're going to use that as an actual coffin for the dead animals that don't deserve to die because your black ass ain't supposed to be eating them. And you wonder why.
Oh, families. And we're going to let him continue on that because he was just getting started. Yes, sir. Let's go. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's go. To the next gym. Where is it at? To the next gym.
What I've seen. Early scholarship from what I've seen is a mixed bag. You can certainly find some of the most honest and genuine reflections of African civilization from non-African explorers and observers. So it's not completely fair to say that all early scholarship or observation concerning African civilization was disingenuous or bankrupt. The idea of African achievement or civilization was perhaps so controversial during those times due to the perceived equivalence between enslavement and historical or moral failure. On a surface level, that mindset may be an effective utility as it relates to morally justifying violent actions, but it was clearly ineffective in measuring or evaluating all components of human potential, intellect, or activity. This is one of the reasons why we see the patently ridiculous claims of early travelers and scholars when assessing African achievements. Their paradigm is calibrated to explain it away. One African achievement that was initially attributed to outside sources was the fantastic ruins of Great Zimbabwe. Believed to have been built around the early 12th century, Great Zimbabwe was located in the modern country of Zimbabwe, and it's the largest stone ruins below the evidence suggests that Shona kings and the very elite lived in the marvelously built stone fortifications. These brilliant edifices were the center of a flourishing gold trade that spanned across the Indian Ocean. The Shona people built the stone structures without mortar, which was indicative of a unique African style. The structures are so impressive that the modern nation of Zimbabwe took inspiration from the site. The Hongwe totem bird found at the site is a national symbol for the country of Zimbabwe today. In other words, the stone ruins were a symbol of African achievement. Certainly one of the great gems of African civilization. That being said, European travelers and scholars seem to agree that this was indeed an achievement of the medieval world, and thus found it difficult in admitting African parentage. The first intellectual gymnastics was played by Portuguese traders in the late 1500s. They thought it was a city of the legendary Queen of Sheba, or the biblical city of Ophir, from which the Queen of Sheba raised gold for the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Unwilling to admit the city's sub-Saharan African origin and arguing that these peoples had no history of building in stone, later visitors to the ruins surmised that Phoenicians, Arabs, Egyptians, or even the fabled Christian king Prester John had built Great Zimbabwe. This initial reaction by the Portuguese may be forgivable, as some Portuguese travelers proclaimed that the Shona people did indeed build them. However, the allure of biblical fantasies was apparently just too powerful. In 1871, Karl Mach continued this erroneous tradition by associating Great Zimbabwe with King Solomon's biblical Ophir. Cecil Rhodes and his followers, called the Rhodesians, illustrated the apotheosis of falsehood. Inspired by what they took for Great Zimbabwe's extraneous origins, Rhodes settlers, known as Rhodesians, called the hill ruin at Great Zimbabwe the Acropolis, and the valley ruin, following their suppositions about Near Eastern religious ceremonies in the valley, the temple. Despite evidence to the contrary, adduced by archaeologists David Randall MacGyver, Gertrude Catton Thomas, local belief in Great Zimbabwe's exotic origins remain an article of settler faith. In truth, genuine scholarship tried to break the Eurasian-centric utopian tradition, but imperial and commercial interests often won the day. The Rhodesians obstinately maintained their Eurasian hypothesis despite unassailable proofs. Nonetheless, Rhodesians erroneously attributed hill and valley ruins to Phoenicians, Jews, and Arabs, anyone in fact but the site's historical Shona builders. A host of local diggers, Theodore Bent, R.M. Swan, and R.N. Hall, bolstered early myth-making about the site that became a defining characteristic of colonial worldviews. In his book, The Ruined Cities of Ancient Rhodesia, Hall argued that Phoenicians were responsible for Great Zimbabwe's construction. Ancient Semites had provided the organizational skills and the intelligence without which the Shona could never have built their architectural marvels. Another African achievement attributed to other people were the beautiful Ife heads of the Yoruba people. The brass and terracotta sculptures of the Yoruba city of Ele-Ife are among the best in the world. By the 10th and 11th centuries, Ele-Ife was a flourishing city with a lavish court for its ruler, who was known as the Oni. In addition to his political leadership, the Oni was also considered the spiritual leader of all the Yoruba. Although Benin and Oyo were more powerful cities, Ele-Ife was revered for its religious and cultural importance, especially its art and sculpture. Ele-Ife was also renowned for its bronze castings, which were made using the lost wax process, the same technique used by the ancient Greeks. The beauty and splendor of the Ife sculptures are undeniable. It exemplifies African achievement, and it's certainly on par with any in the world. In fact, what was all the more impressive about the sculptures and testament to the African skill and mastery of metallurgy was how the artists at Ele-Ife created casts of nearly pure copper, a feat that artists of ancient Greece and Rome, the Italian Renaissance, and Chinese bronze casters never achieved. Based on this historical perspective, one can imagine how impressed foreigners were upon their discovery of the Ife sculptures. Reflexively, they were critical or outright denied African invention. Leo Frobenius, a German archaeologist, was the first to undertake serious work in Ife in 1910, and his ethnographic study was the principal source on this topic for quite some time. Frobenius was soon afterwards taken to a grove of Osanyan to the northwest of the palace. The main feature was a nondescript stone, but he was much more interested in two fragments of a terracotta face in a naturalistic style, which he and Martius, his mining engineer assistant, picked up from the ground surface. He thought them reminiscent of ancient Greece and a proof that once upon a time a race far superior in strain to the Negro had been settled here. His most popular find was a brass head known as Olokun. The excellence of that sculpture only affirmed his Eurocentric disposition. Frobenius thought he had found evidence of a Greek colony on the Atlantic coast of Africa. The intellectual leaps were pretty profound.
Up at Def Comedy Jam, the Showtime at the Apollo, growing fame to hosting the legendary Soul Train. modeling, getting their riches. Charismatic, debonair image. Truly, from having crowds cracking up to breaking through in the movies. Now it's on, this is time, yo. Hollywood films with John Leguizamo. Start catching on fire, working with Cuba Goodings and Jerry Maguire. That'll show him the money that would lead to the peak of his fame with Mad TV. Climbing in heights. Ironically, Mad TV was happy times in his life. But you know when you're successful and feel rich, and at this point you get careless, focused on wealth instead of health. Paul Habiston almost lost his life in a car accident. With God luck he survived, but got 2 permanent marks under his eyes. And after all the careless habits he demonstrate, by this time putting on excessive weight. Now it's hard to pull a road through, so he switched it up and got more controversial. With the pain on his heavy heart, started dissing new comedians, Mike Epps, Kevin Hart. No filter, no hush on him, to the point, live on air, somebody swung on him. Disappeared for years, he'd get low, re-emerge with harsh words for Lizzo. Dissing her weight, this is erratic. Then came the infamous skit with Tiffany Haddish. Something I cannot honor, humor at the expense of a child's trauma. Below the surface he's broke, unpleased with his own personal growth. Hurt people, troublesome. It's plenty Aries, can't spare none of them.
Let's go.
Yes, people, welcome to Extended Thoughts, Short Bites. So today we're going to be looking at an area.
My apologies.
That King Charles III wanted to make Jimmy Savile godfather to one of his sons. Did you know that the royal family are friends with the Epsteins and the Maxwells? Yeah, the same Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that were involved in numerous scandals, in which Prince Andrew was also involved and bailed out by the late Queen. But did you also know that King Charles has been a long time WEF, World Economic Forum, advocate and is a pal of Klaus Schwab? From 1992 to the present day, these two friends have been good friends and good allies. But did you also know that King Charles III was a climate change activist and is still a climate change activist? Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the battle against climate change is surely the most pivotal challenge of our times. Even in a world full of daunting perils and crises, it is hard to imagine anything that poses a greater challenge and opportunity for humanity. We are running out of time. How many times have I found myself saying this over recent years? We cannot delay, regroup, prevaricate, or wait for more and better information. We should compare the planet under threat of climate change to a sick patient. No doctor would wait for 100% certainty while a dying patient slipped away. We cannot ignore the symptoms and should act now to restore the health of the planet before it is too late. This, of course, will require an unprecedented transformation of our communities, societies, and lifestyles, all predicated on the move to a low-carbon and circular economy. The good news is that we know what we need to do. Many of the solutions are in our grasp.
The good news is we know what we need to do. I find it interesting how many times he looks down to look at his paper for a bit more insight. But yeah, let's continue to hear the rest of his speech in regards to climate change.
We just need to act effectively, and we need to do it now. It seems to me we need three things above all. First, a renewed recognition and understanding of the science of climate change and its implications for action. The recent IPCC report has set out more clearly than ever before the risks that climate change poses and the actions that need to be taken in response. While there are very encouraging signs of progress in the rollout of renewable energy, increases in energy efficiency, and efforts to tackle deforestation, these need to be vastly scaled up to achieve the deep levels of decarbonisation that the science tells us we require. In my conversations with business leaders, I find that this is increasingly well understood, and through the work of my corporate leaders group, I am encouraged that more and more businesses are supporting a transformative goal of reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions well before the end of the century. Taking action on climate change is neither inherently bad for business nor against economic interests. It is, in fact, the only rational choice. This is all the more evident with the growth of the progressive business voice, as demonstrated in the We Mean Business coalition, of which I'm pleased my corporate leaders group is an active partner. Second, we need the disciplines of financial accounting and regulation to make proper allowance for the costs and benefits of natural disaster risk and resilience. My Accounting for Sustainability project is working with a unique collaboration of financial leaders and scientists on ways to make this happen.
So the climate's, they're working with scientists and the financial industry. I wonder if there's going to be a climate change lockdown, which would help to reduce carbon emissions and our worldwide carbon footprint. Maybe if we had a climate change lockdown, this would help with the goals that King Charles would like to reach. But who knows? Now, I want to show you another speech that he was talking about a few years before this one.
For history will not judge us by how much economic growth we achieve in the immediate years ahead, nor by how much we expand material consumption, but by the legacy we leave for our grandchildren, their grandchildren. We are consuming what is rightfully theirs by sacrificing long-term progress on the altar of immediate satisfaction and convenience. That is hardly responsible behavior. There is an urgent need for all of us to concentrate our efforts on sustaining, nurturing, and protecting the Earth's natural capital, and moreover reshaping our economic systems so that nature sits at the very heart of our thinking.
This climate change is going to be the entry point to talk about what?
And protecting the Earth's natural capital, and moreover reshaping our economic systems.
Reshaping our economic systems. Now you probably think he's just talking about the pollutants. No, they've been on this one world currency, one world governance, one world totalitarian state. But anyway, I digress. Let's find out some more interesting things about the now reigning King Charles III. It seems as if King Charles III is subservient to the Rothschilds. I mean, not anybody can stick their finger in the chest of royalty. Now, this was when he was Prince Charles, now he's King Charles. But it's rare that somebody, unless somebody can stick their finger in somebody else's chest who is a man of status and a part of the higher echelon of society. This is why I've titled this subservient to the Rothschilds, who just so happen to own or are established in the financial sector? Interesting. Now, did you know that King Charles is related to Vlad the Impaler, son of Dracul, also known as the son of the devil, who was known for impaling people on stakes? Did you know that King Charles III cheated on Princess Diana with Camilla, and also is rumoured to be involved with her untimely demise? Now, last point, did you know that King Charles II was known as the Black Boy for being quote-unquote mulatto? Allegedly. Interesting, right? Now, let me know what you found most interesting by leaving a comment in the comment section below. And as always, people, extending thoughts
on the actions needed. However, we must recognize that we cannot meet the climate change challenge unless business and government actively work together. So I can only wish you, the Climate Group, CDP, my corporate leaders group, and everyone involved with Climate Week, Secretary General and UFCCC Executive Secretaries DET for their tireless work to help build a consensus on the actions needed. However, we must recognize that we cannot meet the climate change challenge unless business and government actively work together. Business and government actively work together. Business and government actively work together. So I can only wish you, the Climate Group, CDP, my corporate leaders group, and everyone involved with Climate Week, every possible success in your crucial deliberations and your actions going forward. We simply have to win the battle against climate change to secure our future and the future of our children and grandchildren. So,
His love's relentless, endless. Agape, you rescued me, saved me from my hard days. I follow my mind, no longer what my heart says. Impeccable love, and sin makes his heart break.
Give me love, give me joy, you give me more, and never stop. All I ever is fun of you, and that's enough. And I know that you'll never give me up. When the rains, and it pours, this your love, you gotta go inside my heart. And it makes a perfect love. Alright, it's just all mine. No more running, I'm confined in the grasp of your love, 'cause it's alright. I know that you are is perfection, and the way that you hold me when I'm drifting. I want no more than light within your breathing, just to live in your truth and be consumed by you. Yeah, all that I am is for you. You will never leave, you're my point of view. In the rain and the storms, you stay true. And all I gotta say is you're my saving. Yeah, give me love, give me joy, you give me more, never stop. All I am is fun of you, and that's enough. And I know that you'll never give me up. When the rains, and it pours, this your love, you gotta go inside my heart. And it makes a perfect love.
I was a sinner, but the King still died for me. Jehovah Jireh, your Shekinah glory shines on me. And yo, Sally, I used to do crime with the belly sitting in the back of the cabby with safety on. Whoa, agape love, relentless love. Baptized, receive the ghost in the form of a dove. Daily, I give my wife and daughter kisses and hugs. It's crazy, cause growing up, my heart was hard with the tugs. Jesus, I'm being real, my heart beats for you. John 8:32, you help me seek for truth. Not Charlie's love, but bringing Holy Ghost fire to boost the gospel. The realest love, and that's your BBC News. Give me love, give me joy. Let's say I'm so blessed and I enjoy. Let's get the Lamborghini out, not paranoid. If you give your heart heart to God won't be destroyed. Give me love, give me joy. They say I'm so blessed and I enjoy. Let's get the Lamborghini out, not paranoid. If you give your heart to God, won't be destroyed.
Give me love, give me joy, give me more, and never stop. All I ever is for you, and that's enough. And I know that you will never give me up. When the raise, on the board. They shall love me, what they do is I pay the it makes a perfect love. Give me love, give me joy. Just feel so blessed and enjoy.
Yeah, in times. At the end of the day, for real, if you a man of the Most High specifically, guard your light, guard your family, protect your peace. I feel like it's that season, yeah. Till your ground and put your seeds in. They say rock was the word, I told them repent. Gotta walk in them shoes you put your feet in. The bed that you make, you gotta sleep in. Sowing and reaping, judgment, it's that season. I don't get mad, and I don't get even. Abba got 'em, say shalom when you see me. I forgive you. I'm protecting my peace. It ain't my business what they said about me. They forgot to mention the part when I fell to my knees. Please, Abba, keep your angels wherever I be. Pray you keep a couple of them by the bed when I sleep. Bonded, casting out every devil I see. Last days, I ain't playing no kind of games. I got children. Look, no matter what they say, we gon' still win. Let them gossip, we gon' still win. Turn everybody against us, we gon' still win. Keep building like real men. Imagine all the souls we gon' reel in. And we put scriptures over feelings. Yeah. Had to do a pause for that. I feel like it's that season. Yeah. Till your ground and put your seeds in. If we can't correct each other, we can't be friends. I can't sit back and watch you go off the deep end. Sky is the limit, you got no ceiling. We gon' take it through the firmament. You got baptized, them demons was on your head when they got word of it. When you get wings, it's gonna be turbulence. Temptation intensified, it's expected. We at the end of time, they don't wanna see you score. They want you penalized, want you out the game, see you ride the bench. When it's crunch time, it ain't hard to see who the father with. This season, we not man pleasing. Practice what you preaching, don't pretend. For real, we gotta give them the facts. Look, that sound good, but what scripture was that? Paganism in our worship, hidden in the details. Saturnalia, Abba gave me eyes, I can see well. We stiff-neck, we don't want correction, we shun correction. On the narrow path is only one direction. Yeah, we stiff-neck, we don't want correction, we shun correction. Yeah, it's only one direction. It's that season. Let live, cause I was gonna let live, cause I don't really care who the best is. The most I told me speak, so here I am. He told me give you this message, so I had to spin the block like Tetris. Now here's what you left with, a messenger bringing correction. They blaspheme the one who exists. That New Testament, it tests men. The words written in red over their head like exit. I don't know what left is, cause righteousness is my direction. They don't know who Christ is until they in crisis. I'm like, why are they like this? See, here's the problem with mankind, they not fully connected. When you on the stage, know the light is still higher. Open this man's eyes to see what I'm saying like fan signs. The devil try to hit us with a snare like he plays sides, you know? Cause snare, they play sides. Words getting lost in the crowd like stage dives. Somehow I'm always with the chef like I make pies. These industry fake liars, Jezebel fake trying. Got David in our blood, we slay giants. I'm fire with the stone like I make tires. How dare you speak against what is written, you fake guys. Now catch this contact like fake eyes. Your intelligence is artificial like AI. So here is your answer like AI, repent.
Hashem, Yahshaya, Yahuah HaKodash. Thank you, Father, Yah, for the change of heart. In Yahshua's name we say hallelujah.
Christ, we're talking spiritual. Look what the spirit do. Let them walk into you. I seen it for myself. I got an interview. Y'all just read what he said. You transgression if you got it in your head. Messiah teaching it to bring you to your knees. Before he healed that man, he asked that man, do you believe? The Pharisee was tripping because their hands was unclean. But whatever in your heart is gonna come out when you speak. That let them give it to the poor while we in captivity. My light gonna shine brighter than these fringes. What up in your heart? I hope you getting it. Messiah taught the things out the law that really matter. The Father said, speak to the rock, you got power. We in the end times approaching the final hour. He gon' let the rock flow down like a shower. Christ, we're talking spiritual. Look what the spirit do. Let the rock into you. I seen it for myself. I got an interview. Y'all just read what he said. You transgression if you got it in your head. Messiah teaching it to bring you to your knees. Before he healed that man, he asked that man, do you believe? Cross me so I can bear my cross. Push me, but I still won't shove. I'll even die for the sin you love. Even though you spilled it, I'll cover you in my blood. Israel, the lost palace. If you serve the King of Peace, why cause havoc? I gotta know why, cause this ain't me. Mistreating randoms on the street, that ain't me. Real is real, and that feel fake. I've been in the jungle, and this feels snake. But I won't leave you. I gotta see all these enemies against us, bro. I need you. You need me, they need me, we need us. I know Christ at the pace, it's hard to keep up. But his yoke is easy, I can believe me. If Christ our ticket to the kingdom, that's a freebie. All I gotta do is love. See me and put you above. Offend nobody, and I mean nobody. Never be first and give our last to the low life. Let the holy fire rain, cause we too cool. Talking spiritual, look what the spirit do. Let the ruach into you. I seen it for myself, I got an interview.
Apply pressure. Let's go. Apply pressure. Let's go.
Because your black ass ain't supposed to be eating them. And you wonder why you're the highest in diabetes. You wonder why you're the highest in sickle cell anemia, leukemia, cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, fibroids, polyovarian cyst syndrome, and all other types of things because your ass is eating what they told you to eat and you're not eating by design. Don't be mad at Yaki because Yaki is the whistleblower. Be lying to you since you've been on this earth. Be mad at the motherfuckers that drug our ancestors over here and shoved food down our throats. Then now we addicted to the foods and you get mad at me because I love you enough to want to see you change your life and to see the future generations to come from your womb and to come from your intestines to be many black messiahs in this system. But you mad at Yaki, asking me for my credentials. Where is your site? Cite all of your research. My research is in the fucking field. My feet is planted in the field. My research is having my own healing home. My research is the 1,000 healing testimonies that I got from HIV, hepatitis B, sickle cell anemia, leukemia, AIDS, cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, thyroid, growing thyroids back. That's all the clinical trials and credentials I need. I don't need to go to no white man's school and be patted on my back and given a slavery certificate that's called a diploma to make my people believe me. Believe me by my works. Anything outside of that is hearsay. Y'all better get it together and get it together quick.
Pause. So when a person said that they love you, it's an action word, families. And a lot of people get that, man. It's an action word, families. I have to show you that I love you, families. That's what the Apostle James, man, was out there trying to sit there and tell us. But then a lot of people want to sit there and go to James like, man, you talking about works. You talk about the works through the Ruach, y'all. The works through the Kadesh, families. James chapter 2. James chapter 2. And family, man, we're going to start at verse, the dagger in this, families, at verse 18. But we're going to start at verse 12. James chapter 2. So speak ye, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty, of freedom, right? For he shall have judgment without mercy, that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. What do it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have no works? Can faith save him? If a brother or a sister be naked, this is showing your shame, right? Be destitute of daily food. This is you not increasing your knowledge, right? You having a lack of understanding. Verse 16. And one of you say unto them, depart in peace, depart in shalom. Be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye. Give them not those things which are needful to the body, would do it profit. I'm not going to give you things that are physical, but I'm going to give you things which is spiritual. Spiritual food, spiritually. Something that I know that you can intake, families, in your mindset. In your mindset. And I'm going to apply action based on it. Verse 17. Even so faith, your emunah, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast emunah, faith, and I have works. Show me thy emunah, your faith, without thy works, and I will show thee my emunah, my faith, by my works. This is a action word, my brothers and sisters. That way that when you go into verse 19, he sits there and says, thou believest that there is one Yahuah. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But what do thou know, a vain man, that emunah without works is dead? Was not Abraham, our Abba, justified by works when he had offered Isaac, his son, upon the altar? I'm telling you, it's an action word. Seest thou have emunah wrought with his works, and by works was emunah made perfect. By his works was his faith made perfect, my brothers and sisters. It was by his works, through the Ruach, through that Kadesh, that made his works perfect, my brothers and sisters. His faith. He showed you how he loved you, families. That's why he mentioned Abraham, and he showed you how he loved the Most High by offering his son Isaac. He's showing you love, y'all. If I say that I love you, I gotta show it, man. Other than that, families, you're gonna let it go through one ear and out the other. Quit telling me you love me and show me you love me. Where the children of Yasharala at? Scattered abroad off four corners of this planet, the true chosen seed of Yah. I want to say that we are forever out your sons and daughters of Zion. And we bear out your Yasharala. I want to say that I love you. Always forever shalom and shalom. Let's go to our brother Yaki one more time before we end this all the way out. And show your brothers and sisters out here, man, that you love them families by your words.
We are coming into this Gregorian fake Greco-Roman New Year, because it's fake. The real New Year is not dead winter. The real New Year is in the spring when flowers spring forth. But let's just say we are following this paganistic Janus God's year 2022. If you don't fucking figure it out and get your life together, we've been here too long in this oppression, depression, and suppression. We've been here too long down and out. We've been here too long not listening to the God within. We've been here too long listening to all these other people tell us how to find out who we are and how to be true to ourselves. Following different religions, different philosophy. Everything you do is to go against your culture and to go against you. It's time for y'all to wake the hell up. Straight up, it's sickening. It's sickening seeing all of my people that look just like me go against my information, but the very people that we get the wrong information from, a lot of them are on here straight saying, dang, Yaki, that makes sense. You're right. It's all most of the Caucasian, Yaki, you're right. That makes total sense. We are biochemically different. That makes total sense, Yaki. But the same Negroes that look just like me got every fucking thing to say, but ain't putting in no work, ain't fasting, ain't praying, ain't doing nothing. All y'all doing is sitting around, drinking, eating meat, killing your bodies all day, fucking like rabbits and reproducing sick children. That's all we doing. And we wondering why we're not getting better. Because you are sick, your sperm is sick, your eggs and your ovaries.
Pause on that, families. Brother Brand, Elder Brand. It's live, families. I gotta go out there and check out the Elder before I end out this live, y'all. Elder Brand is live, man. Let's go.
Ancient people who understood all the symbolisms and whatnot, and that goes for Revelation. Those ancient people understood all those symbolisms and what they stood for and why they meant. So over time, hundreds and hundreds of years and thousands of years later, it's not as easy for us to go back and try and understand what the heck is John talking about? birds with lions' heads and all this other crazy stuff,
But I want to ask you a question too. Is God offended if somebody, because we don't go through the understanding the background, and a lot of us don't know the culture, and we're living on a different continent 2,000-3,000 years after the fact, speaking a different language, is God damning us because we would look at the newspaper and say, hey, we fit these prophecies? We would look at different things to say we fit in there, or what like Ella Mike and someone called eschatology or a newspaper theology, and you're building it off of that. If you don't know how to do it and you read it, how straight does your doctrine have to be for God to work in your life? I'm asking that in the comment section right here. Can you be off on some things and God still work on your life like my grandmama and them was? I like to bring people grandmama in because people hard on other people, but when it comes to their family, they don't want to be that hard. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can be off on some things, and I was off on some things. I've changed my ideology, my biblical ideology over years. I don't know it all. I'm ever learning. Anybody?
Why did you change it? And if God opens you up to change it. Owen Clark, listen to this. If God opened you up to change it, why would you be hard on some other people that got a different view than you? I'm going to play this video right here.
And the things that I changed my thoughts on, I'm not hard on people about those things. And one of the things I've changed and I've backed off of is eschatology. I used to go hard on that stuff,
But why is that? Because you understand that different people got scriptures and good points also? And you're round and round and round arguing?
Exactly. And then there are some things that, there are some things that I believe now that not necessarily that I was wrong about, but I got an even better understanding of. Just even listening to Elder Mike and some other people, they gave me an even better understanding of some positions that I had that took it to a whole nother level. Not that I was wrong. So I'm just saying, we are ever learning. Anybody that think they got it all figured out, man, you hurting yourself, man. And so you're totally right, man. Is people got all kind of different positions on different topics in the book. Now we'll come to the essentials and say, hey, some stuff is just black and white, and I agree.
No, but I don't know. We had beef yesterday with the essential. Oh boy, and Gia know everything. Gia said everybody's off on something. Can't tell Pastor J that.
That's what scared me with him. Certain stuff scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Certain stuff scared me. But go ahead.
Yeah, we all can be off on something, and we all think we're not. But and there'll be times when people present something to me, and I'll be like, I don't know. Now I need to go back and rethink that thing or do some more study, because I admit I don't have it all figured out. Now, what I believe that I do have figured out, I'll stand on that. But for to come up here and argue eschatology and make it made as a matter of fact, and if you ain't got this figured out, you crazy. I would never take that position. So, pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, when people be making bold statements about that stuff, I just laugh, man. I'm like, do y'all really think y'all got all that stuff figured out?
It's a 2,000-year history, and people have been on both sides of the fence, all sides of the fence, arguing it for years, that have done great work, that have done great work in the kingdom for humanity. Right. Great work.
And taking 1 Thessalonians 3:16 out of context, I'm gonna stand on that one. but it's good for discussion. It's good for healthy debate, discussion, as we say. But it's not an essential that we should split over. But I think, to your point, Kareem, we should not be dogmatic about things that are not black and white in Scripture.
We should. Yeah. Come on, Dunamis. You know you're muted, right? I don't know if he's still driving. I got that from Dr. Robert. Oh, no, not Robert that wrote the book on Islam. Come on, Spears.
Yeah, I agree with Brother Jay. Yeah, we all have to learn, bro. Nobody's here. I'm trying to really get people to understand. Nobody's here like they got it all. I'm not here. I apologize to come off that way, but we really miss the fiber of Jesus, what He's brought to us. He says, "Be ye perfect, for I'm perfect." Wait a minute.
Oh boy, not every passage you mean. What do you mean by that right there, Father God? Just be right. What that mean right there?
What do you mean? And I'm gonna build on it. Have my mind. Remember, it talks about having the mind of Christ. See, have my mind. Think like I think. Act like I act. Says over in 1 John 2. Okay. It says, if He's in you and you in Him, you should do what? You should walk as He walked. You should. He's encouraged you to do that. So that's the perfectness He's talking about. Stand in my perfectness. That's the perfect He's talking about. Not your own. It got nothing to do with you. Stand in my perfectness. See, people miss this stuff. Brother Berean, what's wrong with us?
We crazy.
Ain't talking about
basically walking into maturity, my brothers and sisters. You done matured up. Child, I thought I was a child. I did childish things, but I was a child. But when I became a man, I put away all childish things. So it's just growing into maturity, families. That's what it's all about. Growing into maturity, growing into His righteousness.
He ain't talking about
my Pentecostal. He Pentecostal. And the one thing I don't want, because some people be like, yo, I know I blow with Pentecostals, but there's some people I like some Pentecostal stuff. When he came in here and said the name of Jesus, I'm like, that's that one that's ignorant. I love my ignorant oneness folk. And he came here with that Jesus name. I'm like, all right, he all right with me. And don't nobody take that, say Jesus preacher, the Berean preacher, oneness apostolic doctrine. My bad children. And I got grandchildren now. Go ahead, Dunamis. I'm trying to eat that.
So my experience with that. So do you believe in sinless perfection?
Say it again. Yo, Dunamis, me and you got a love-hate relationship. Now, sinless perfection, you know what that is, right, Mike? And please answer good. I tried to hem plumber up the other day. Y'all believe in sinless perfection type of what?
Say it again. I'm sorry. Ask the question again, brother.
Do you believe in sinless perfection?
The what?
Sinless perfection. That in this flesh we can be sinless. Perfectly sinless.
It's from my perspective, it's not about not doing anything wrong, The perfection is that it's about my mind. Because remember, here's what God says. He says he knows what? He knows my heart. He knows my intent. And my intent every day is to what? Is to live according to him and his word. But guess what? In that intent, sometimes, guess what? I'm going to go to the left when I should have went to the right. That's the imperfectness, but that's not what he's talking about. He says your intent must be about doing what I say do every day. That's why he knows the heart. He knows what you're thinking. Who's thinking to go and do things against God? No one should be. Anybody that is, they're not what? They're not of God. But if you tend to, at times, come on, bruh. We need to put examples on the table. This ain't hard, you all. This ain't hard. You know, that's the perfection he's talking about. And have it in your heart that every day you wake up, you want to do what I said. That's all.
And suppose you don't. Suppose you don't.
And if you don't, then guess what? If you truly have accepted him the way he wants you to accept him, and you're living according to him and his word, guess what? That's where that book comes in. Because, see, we talk about there's no works, right? But I can read to you over in Revelations 20. And guess what? He said the books are going to be open, and you're going to be judged according to what's written in them. Well, he's going to be judged by those books according to your works.
Okay, wait a minute, Mike. Let me go to that Revelation 20 you said.
Right. Let's go.
You're going to prove my point. And some people, Revelation
12. Come on. 20 and 12. We can go there.
Okay.
And see, I'm trying to understand why is pastors telling people this? They keep on telling you, they tell you over and over and over again that it's not about works. It's not about works. We have one clue with James, right? James says what? Faith without what? Works is what?
In this context, what is he talking about? In the context of the chapter, what is he talking about?
We're about to get the clarity right here. You asked for the clarity? We're about to read. How about that? We're about to read. Just want to show you what James was talking about when he said,
you said Revelation, come on now, let's be slow now. Is this the Bema seat? Who are these people being judged right here? This is you, this is Israel, this is Christianity, this is all men. Who's being judged right here in the context?
This is everybody, brother. This is the
this is the whole planet. This is the whole planet right here?
Let's read what it says. If we're going to read what it says, I'm going to show you.
Come on, you pull it up, Bulos. I'm trying to heat mustard. Come on, I got to scroll for him, or you got it on the screen. Do I got it on the screen?
Right, go to 12. We're going to 12. 20 and 12. We're going to start at 12. We're going to read
12. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. 12 and 13. Those are the two scriptures we're going to read.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books. Stop. You see, it said books twice. It said books the first time, but then it said book, one singular, one plural, right?
Okay.
And as you see here, he says, but they were judged about everything that was written in the what? Plural books. Not the book, which it named it itself. It was the book of life, right? So
now, what's the plural book? I'm sorry, what's the plural book?
It's the laws. It's the first 5. Those are plural books. The books of Moses, as we call them.
Type of one if y'all agree with that. Read it again and say it again slow now.
Right. It says, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. So it described that one book. It didn't describe the books, but it described that one book, right? And then it says, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books. You see what I'm saying? So it's making a distinction there. There's a book called the Book of Life, which we all want to be written in, right?
Amen.
And then it says they're going to be judged what? According to their what? Works. Wait a minute. But I've been told how often that it's not about my works. But I'm reading right here. And then we're going to keep on. Let's read 13. To bring even more understanding to it, hopefully. It says, and the sea gave up the dead, and which were in it, and the death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. So that sound like everybody? That sound like all that's left, don't it? It said death, hell, and the sea, even what was in them has been now given up. Right? It says, and they were judged every man according. So guess what? It told me. Also, these that was given up in these places, they were men. They were people. Was according to their what? Oh, works. Wait a minute. Oh, but we ain't got to do no works? Sound like we got to do works to me, but we just need to understand what they are, don't we? But sound like we got to do something about what we've been hearing in the church. I ain't got to do no works. What you talking about? Unless you don't believe this book. I just read something to you in 2 verses of 1 chapter that say, you're going to be judged according to your what?
According to the works. Let's go up a little bit. Hey, see, right here, Revelation. Look at this, Revelation 12 and 20. You started at 12, 20 and 12. I want to go up to 7. And when the 1,000 years were expired, Satan was loosed out of his prison. Do me a favor. First, prove to me that the first 5 books are the other books that we're reading about according to the Bible. Then we'll get into time period and the second resurrection.
So I can keep it simple, bro. You talking about proof? The simplicity is this. The first 5 books were the words of God that he gave his people instructions of what? How to live. What else he going to judge us by? What else he going to judge us by? What else he going to judge us by? Give me something else he going to judge me by. Give me something else he going to judge me by besides what he told me to do and did I do it. What else he going to judge me by? Help me out.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor before I put you out of here, because you ain't. I don't think you ever really taught it publicly before. I'm asking you a question. You're the teacher right now. You got the light. The light is on you. This is written down in the book. What you teach God's people. Somebody that is God's people. You hear me? Now I want you to get out here and teach why the first 5 books, according to this, is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Is